Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. This is for entertainment purposes only, so if you're entertained, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. So today I'd like to compare AIPI with CHPY because in about 40 minutes I'm going to be talking with Brad from Income Architect on Ambassador of Quan's Twitter space, and we're being brought in as the experts, and so I had to do my homework. So we're going to go over my thoughts before this, and then I'm going to create another post just to let you all know that this is a thing that's happening at noon Eastern time today. So what is my conclusion for this? We're going over CHPY and AIPI, but CHPY is YieldMax's semiconductor-focused ETF, and CHPY is actually their AI and tech focused ETF. And I know that semiconductors and AI do get lumped in together quite a bit, but they are actually different, and there's actually not that much overlap in the funds with AIPI and CHPY. And so a lot of this will come down to personal preference for what specifically do you want to be invested in. Do you want to have C3 AI, or would you rather have CrowdStrike or Datadog? These are all really good companies. It's just that different ETFs have them in different, they have different holdings. And mostly AIPI has, they own the underlying, and they have less fees than YieldMax. But on the flip side, YieldMax's prospectus, they have so many more strategies that they can use. AIPI pretty much follows the Beta AI Leaders Select Index, which is nice. And then CHPY and GPT they follow, they don't follow anything. They hand select those things. So if we're talking about total return, though, since April of this year, if you had invested in CHPY, you would have $12,880. In GPTY, you would have $13,459, and in AIPI, you would have $11,775. So, both CHPY and GPTY pay weekly, and AIPI pays monthly, and they just have, and CHPY and GPTY, they use a synthetic, and AIPI actually owns the underlying. So, these are the most glaring differences between this. And AIPI is much older than CHPY or GPTY. AIPI has been around for a year, and it came out at a time when our choices were YieldMax, which has very, very high, very, very high yields, but we were all concerned about, are they going down to zero with the NAV erosion? Or Defiance, which was actually, the NAV was going down so much, but your total return was positive, but it was just free fall. So when these came out, I remember everybody, well, first of all, I went in on inception date, and then I messed up doubling down, so I got out right after the first distribution. But I appreciated the fact that the NAV was more stable than everything else that was out at the time. FEPI is well respected, so I think that that's why there is such a big difference with the asset under management, is that it's been here for a year longer, and they have managed to keep their price pretty stable. I think the biggest caution with AI and specifically semiconductors, is that semiconductors they're cyclical. So I don't know specifically where we are in the cycle, but we can expect at some point in the future that the volatility will lull and that it'll pick up again in the future. So, and right now AI is like the thing that everybody is talking about, but who knows if in like a year or two, 5 years, 10 years from now, people are no longer interested in AI. There's something that is different, the next new thing in tech, and all of a sudden none of these companies are relevant anymore. So that's just my opinion. Well, I mean, I tried to use testful.io as well to backtest AIPI, CHPY, and GPTY. And AIPI has the least amount of drawdown and it has the least amount of volatility, which means, in my opinion, none of these funds are going to do well in a prolonged down market or in a low volatility market. But at least AIPI, they own the underlying. So in those adverse markets, the synthetics is actually really expensive to keep up when you're not making money. So CHPY and GPTY might go down more and not be able to stabilize themselves until AI is doing better. However, and for example, with Misty, YieldMax has changed their prospectus for them to let them go further out of the money with their long position. So there's nothing to say that they can't also change the prospectus for all of the other funds so that if there is a down market, they can do more out of the money strikes for their synthetic, which means that it'll be more expensive to establish the synthetic, but if they don't lose, if the price stays above the synthetic, it's not as expensive to close. So there are strategies that YieldMax can do to minimize the impact of if the semiconductor does start to cool off. So what does this mean for me? Because I have Nvidia and Pleiadi. So I've so far chosen to do the single stocks because they pay more than these basket of stocks, but I do appreciate these basket of stocks because someday Palantir might not be the hottest thing. It might be Broadcom, it might be Qualcomm, it might be C3AI, and if I'm not in it at all, then I miss the run. So I think it would be good to invest in AIPI, CHPY, and GPT. Like I wouldn't just pick one because CHPY and GPTY can simulate doing a dividend wheel with the distributions that you get from AIPI, and then a portion of what you get each week from CHPY and GPTY can be used to invest in AIPI as like a DCA strategy. And then you can choose to take a portion of what you get from AIPI and CHPY and GPTY and choose an underlying, invest in the underlyings into an AI portfolio, ETF that invests in AI and semiconductors, or just into AMD and Nvidia and Palantir. So I think that these are not really competitors. I think that these are just ones that work well together. So yeah. And then which of these do you prefer? Do you prefer AIPI? I know that a lot of people, they like Rex shares and they are more careful with people's NAV, and it is cheaper, and the distributions aren't as much and your total return isn't as much, but people feel safer with Rex shares than with YieldMax. And so today in Financial Philharmonics, we have Your Cup of Fees. It's a barbershop quartet song about just introducing a few different ETFs and their pros and cons. So I will talk to you all later. Bye.